Coming back here is not easy. The racism that I played here, when I played here, the difficulty of going through different places where we traveled. Fortunately, I had a manager and I had players on the team that helped me get through it. But I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
Today, there are people in the United States that seek to divide by race, that seek to dominate. We hear again a siren call of supremacy, Confederate flags flying and marching. Reggie Jackson is telling a profound truth here. If a vote for Donald Trump puts him back in the White House because he doesn't believe in voting rights, he doesn't believe in civil rights, he doesn't believe in equality or justice under the law. He believes in retribution. He believes in punishment. He believes in a dark vision of the world. The world that Reggie Jackson is talking about is not very far away. It is June the 21st, 137 days to go until the American presidential election. Today, we're going to talk about baseball, and we're going to talk about Mr. October, Reggie Jackson. I'm 53 years old, which meant I was 7 years old in 1977. And I don't care what anybody says. There's never been a team like those 1977, 1978 New York Yankees teams. It was exciting. It was off the hook. And Reggie Jackson was a giant of my childhood. When I was 7 years old, it really never occurred to any of us that Reggie Jackson was anywhere before he was a New York Yankee. It was as if he just appeared spontaneously to win World Series games. He famously said he was the straw that stirred the drink, and he was. Every single Yankee fan of a certain age will always remember the moment when on 3 swings of the bat in a single World Series game, the man remembered by baseball fans forever as Mr. October hit not 1, not 2, but 3 home runs.
Goodbye.
He was a legend, Reggie Jackson, and he's a cool dude. If you ever had the chance to meet Reggie Jackson, he was gracious. He was kind. Reggie Jackson was a proud, outspoken man and a great, great baseball player, a great American. Reggie Jackson was at a ball field that he played at early in his career in Birmingham, Alabama. And he was asked a question, and his answer was riveting.
Coming back here is not easy. The racism that I played here, when I played here, the difficulty of going through different places where we traveled. Fortunately, I had a manager and I had players on the team that helped me get through it. But I wouldn't wish it on anybody. People said to me today, I spoke, and they said, "You think you're a better person? You think you won when you played here in Concord?" I said, I would never want to do it again. I walked into restaurants and they would point at me and said, "Can't eat here." I would go to a hotel and they said, "Can't stay here." We went to Charlie Finley's country club for a welcome home dinner, and they pointed me out with the "He can't come in here." Finley marched the whole team out.
Before Reggie Jackson swung the bat and sent those 3 home runs into history in the World Series in Yankee Stadium, he was a minor league ball player in Alabama in a different era in America. It's worth remembering because those forces are very much alive. There was just a vote. It took place in the United States Congress, and it was an act of desecration. What the vote did was to raise again the Confederate memorial in Arlington National Cemetery. And this is an important piece of American history. Arlington National Cemetery was the confiscated properties and grounds of Robert E. Lee and his slave estate in Arlington. The Union dead were buried there, and in time it became the nation's most hallowed ground. So it is shocking to the conscience in 2024 a generation after Dr. King's birthday was made a national holiday, we have Republican members of Congress representing the party of Abraham Lincoln and Ulysses Grant and James Garfield, who voted to raise a statue that shows a Confederate soldier kissing his baby goodbye that is held in the arms of his enslaved mammy while his other slave prepares to follow him into battle for the cause of the Confederacy, the cause of slavery. It is vile. It is disgusting. It has no place. But this revanchism, this yearning for the days of segregation and Jim Crow are ever present. So we see this duality play out, this great juxtaposition. We see these men on a national broadcast talking about the national pastime. They're black men and a white man sitting together as equals, and they ask a question to Reggie Jackson, and he answers it with great dignity and rawness and honesty. This is America's history, and it is very real. Reggie Jackson was a trailblazer. He wasn't in the first wave with Jackie Robinson or even the second, but Reggie Jackson came up in a time where racial animus and prejudice and segregation was very real. Listen to him tell the story of allies, of people who stood up for his dignity with him, of a team that ate together.
Fortunately, I had a manager, Johnny McNamara, that if I couldn't eat in the place, nobody would eat. We'd get food to travel. If I couldn't stay in a hotel, they'd drive to the next hotel and find a place where I could stay. Had it not been for Raleigh Fingers, Johnny McNamara, Dave Duncan, Joe and Sharon Rudy, I slept on their couch 3-4 nights a week for about a month and a half. Finally, they were threatened that they would burn our apartment complex down unless I got out. I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
And today, there are people in the United States that seek to divide by race, that seek to dominate. We hear again a siren call of supremacy, Confederate flags flying and marching. Reggie Jackson is telling a profound truth here. Listen to him. It's deep. Baseball is an eloquent sport, graceful sport. And there are few people who have ever played it who were more eloquent and graceful than Jackie Robinson. He is a revered figure in our nation, in our conscience, politically, morally, and in sport. His standing is so high that each year on every team, on every player's jersey, his number 47 is worn. Jackie Robinson. Turn back the clock to 1972 when Jackie Robinson died, a young man, 53 years of age.
Jackie, as a figure in history, was a rock in the water, creating concentric circles and ripples of new possibility. He was medicine. He was immunized by God from catching the diseases that he fought. The Lord's arms of protection enabled him to go through dangers seen and unseen, and he had the capacity to wear glory with grace.
What Reverend Jackson is talking about is what Reggie Jackson is talking about. He's talking about dignity and grace. He's talking about human beings who yearn to be free in America and about the progress towards that goal, which we should never, ever step back from as a society because people have paid too high a price and fought for too long and struggled so very hard before they were able to achieve the progress that created the moment in the stadium where we could see Reggie Jackson teach the way he once hit the baseball, the way he once swung the bat. When he did that and you witnessed it, it was beyond electrifying. I've never seen anybody swing a bat like Reggie Jackson did or connect with the baseball the way that he did in Yankee Stadium. He was bigger than life, but never bigger than he was, telling the truth, unvarnished. What a hit by Reggie Jackson, a great American. Don't let anybody ever trivialize the impact of sport and greatness and the striving with purpose towards excellence, the noble goals of justice and fairness. It's important to understand something. Race in America is not an abstraction. It is core to our history, who we are and who we can become. It is essential to understand that MAGA are the descendants of Jim Crow. They are the descendants of the state troopers on the other side of the Edmund Pettus Bridge with barbed wire wrapped billy clubs. They are the heirs to violence. They are the home to fascist thugs like the Proud Boys. The civil rights movement is as profoundly important towards the advancement of justice in America as was the Civil War, as was the Revolutionary War. It birthed the Third Republic, if you will. It gave birth to the 50-star flag that is the only American flag in our history that under the law says all Americans are to be treated equally by it, under it. This is a recent development in our history, and there was rapid progress. The election of a black president. But there is a backlash now, and it is fueled by anger and by the same forces that gave rise to the backlash against the victory of the United States in the Civil War. In the 1870s, when the Ku Klux Klan raged across the South, it was a backlash. And again in the 1920s, there was a backlash to racial progress, to the idea that black soldiers returning from Europe, having tasted something that looked like equality there, would return to Jim Crow without a whimper. Backlash in the 1970s, and now backlash in the post-Obama era that has gone on for 10 years of contestation. Donald Trump's side keeps losing these elections. That's true. But the question on the ballot requires him only to win once. And despite whatever setbacks his cause has had, and no matter where they've had it, that all gets wiped away, and a lot of progress with it. If a vote for Donald Trump puts him back in the White House because he doesn't believe in voting rights, he doesn't believe in civil rights, he doesn't believe in equality or justice under the law. He believes in retribution, he believes in punishment. He believes in a dark vision of the world. The world that Reggie Jackson is talking about is not very far away. Listen to him. This is The Warning. I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning, and I invite you to subscribe on our Substack, on our YouTube channel. Follow us. Welcome to the community.